Are you struggling with feeling stuck in your life journey? Does it seem as if the challenges or conflicts that you keep experiencing are on repeat? Healing through feeling could be your new way through to a more satisfying life. Now, here is the host of the Feel to Heal with Sharyn Nichols show, licensed marriage and family therapist and life guide, Sharyn Nichols.
Hello, everybody, and welcome. Today's show is about fear. And I am Sharyn Nichols, and you are listening to the Feel to Heal show with me. And I am a licensed and marriage family therapist. For the past 25 years, I've had experience and I've been a life guide. I've helped so many figure out their purpose, where they're going in their life, and overcoming a lot of their fears, me included. And I have been on a quest for understanding myself, and it has just been such an incredible process. And I help individuals who are experiencing communication breakdowns in their lives achieve the win-win solutions that we're all looking for so we can have our best lives and have a more satisfying, peaceful, and successful life. So, welcome again to today's show, and we're going to be talking about fear. Whew, I just need to take a breath about that because I've had a lot of fear around having fear. And I'm having a little bit of a technical difficulty, so excuse me for a moment, but here we go. We're going to start with an incredible meditation on fear that I found on our wonderful thing called the World Wide Web or the internet. And let's receive a breath and allow our eyes to close. Let's inhale to the count of 4. Hold to the count of 4. Exhale to the count of 4. Hold out to the count of 4. And now inhale, 2, 3, 4. Exhale, 2, 3, 4. Inhale, 2, 3, 4. Exhale, 2, 3, 4. Hold out, 2, 3, 4. Inhale, 2, 3, 4. Hold, 2, 3, 4. Exhale, 2, 3, 4. Hold out, 2, 3, 4. Inhale. Resume normal breathing. Let's find an emotion, fear, anger, jealousy, and begin by feeling it fully. I'm going to be talking mostly today about fear, although you can use this meditation for any feeling that you are having. Silently say to yourself, I am afraid. Fully experience what it feels like to say and feel, I am afraid. Stay with this experience until you feel it completely. Now, instead of saying, I am afraid, take a breath and silently say to yourself, I feel fear. Notice the shift from I am to I feel. Experience the shift and the new relationship that just changing the word does for you. Now shift again by saying silently to yourself, I am aware of feeling fear. Presence yourself. experience awareness of your feeling fully. Shift into an observing awareness. Notice the different emotional quality that comes from shifting who or what fear is appearing to. Now let your awareness shift again as you say, fear is welcome. Fear is welcome. Starting from and as awareness, experiencing, welcoming fear like a vast, deep ocean of awareness, welcoming the waves of fear. Feel the awareness embody and embrace while remaining open. Notice the different emotional quality that comes from welcoming the aliveness as not separate from the ocean of awareness. Sense the support that this welcoming brings. Now say silently to yourself, awareness and fear are not separate. Pause and be curious. Notice if awareness is arising in the sense of aliveness and feelings without identifying or rejecting it. Feel the open-hearted awareness fully. Allow yourself to feel. Feel the awareness, the energetic aliveness, the deep stillness of the presence that feels connected to all other beings who feel fear and have the resource of awakeness within you. Notice the feeling of looking out at others and the world from this embodied, connected, open-hearted awareness. Feel this new motivation to reach out and connect with others, to express your compassionate feelings that you now have for yourself and others. Let's all receive a breath. And when you are ready, allow your eyes to open. So we can talk about fear. Fear. Wow. Fear, or false evidence appearing real. It appears real, even though it is a fear of the future and is not what's happening now. We give it so much weight. It's just a thought. Therefore, there is no real substance to it. We allow it to create so much worry, apprehension, anxiety, and even phobias, which I will get into in a little bit. A quote: "Fears are stories we tell ourselves." That was said by Unknown. In all of my research, I kept coming up with all these incredible quotes, and every so often I will throw them in because they're just so wonderful. They're just such a great way to snap us, or I should say me, I use them to snap me out of being so afraid. So I'm assuming that you notice the sign behind me that says, feel the fear and do it anyway. Susan Jeffers wrote this book, I think in 1987, and I purchased it because I think probably my first therapist told me that I should get it. I actually never read it, although it sat on my bookshelf for years. And at the time, my bookshelf was literally across my bed. So every time I would look at the television, the bookshelves were above it. And I would see the book jacket, and it would say, "Feel the fear and do it anyway." And so this has just been my mantra for years. So for the past more than 25 years, this has been my mantra. And my relationship with fear has been up and down. And I realized that it was definitely something that was holding me back most of the time irrationally, because a lot of our fears are irrational. Remember, it's false evidence appearing real. Obviously, there's survivor mode that we go into with fear. That's all natural. Like, of course, you're going to look both ways before you step off of the curb to make sure that no car is coming, because it's a real, normal, valid fear that you may get hit by a car or a bus. So we keep moving on. Fears also keep us safe and alive, and it goes back to the hunters and the gatherers, when before we would step out of the cave to make sure there was no predator, again we would look both ways. There you go, cars are predators, ha ha ha, I say. Anyway, so my relationship with fear has been up and down, and there have been many times where I've let it win. And thankfully, with me doing this show, it didn't. It took so much fear, getting over my fear of actually public speaking, being put on camera, and being recorded. So I'm just going to take a breath on that one. So fear is defined as an unpleasant emotion caused by the belief that someone or something is dangerous, likely to cause pain or threat. That's what Webster's dictionary says. Sounds pretty good. So what is fear? Fear is a natural, powerful, and primitive human emotion, like I mentioned before. It involves a universal biochemical response as well as a high individual emotional response. Fear alerts us to the presence of danger or the threat of harm, whether the danger is physical or psychological. We can all get behind the physical fears. It's the psychological ones that we keep allowing ourselves to hold us back. So 5 primal fears that we as all humans experience: extinction, the fear of annihilation, of ceasing to exist, death; mutilation or body invasion, a loss of autonomy; separation, abandonment or rejection; humiliation, shame, or worthlessness. So fear is normal. We all fear it. We all feel it. In fact, it's fear that can actually help us avoid dangerous situations. Fear can also protect us, but sometimes we become afraid of the feelings that fear brings. So when we come back from break, we're going to talk about what the feelings of fear can bring to us that prevent us from actually living our life to its fullest. See you back in a minute.
At different times on our life journey, we can feel stuck and struggle with seeing our way through. What if the answer to the struggle is just to go deeper than the surface? By tuning in to Feel to Heal with Sharyn Nichols show, with licensed marriage and family therapist and life guide Sharyn Nichols, you'll receive insight and guidance on exploring your feelings in order to heal yourself. Are you ready to create a more satisfying, peaceful, and successful life? Listen for the Feel to Heal with Sharyn Nichols show every Monday at 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, 5 p.m. Central, 4 p.m. Mountain, and 3 p.m. Pacific on InspiredChoicesNetwork.com.
Are you a subject matter expert? Are you here to share your expertise with an audience waiting to hear from you in only the way you can deliver? Are you ready to have your voice amplified across the airwaves? Inspired Choices Network has a global radio platform streaming to millions of people across the world. Professionally produced and supported by an accomplished team every step of the way, you can broadcast from anywhere in the world, knowing your voice matters, and we ensure it is delivered with ease and efficiency. Eager to hear your message, the world awaits. Contact us today to become an Inspired Choices Network radio host. Email becomeahost@inspiredchoicesnetwork.com.
This is Feel to Heal with Sharyn Nichols show, with licensed marriage and family therapist and life guide Sharyn Nichols. To participate in the program, join our live studio audience in our chat room at inspiredchoicesnetwork.com. You can also ask questions or comments by email by sending to Sharyn Nichols at feeltoheal.com. Now, back to the program.
Welcome back, everyone. You are listening to the Feel to Heal show with myself, Sharyn Nichols, and today's topic is fear. And we were just, before break, we were just talking about fears and that they're just thoughts. And sometimes we become afraid of feelings that fear could bring. So sometimes those very same symptoms that help save our lives can also make us anxious and fearful. So a major aspect of anxiety is the tendency to develop a fear of fear. It's all very intertwined, and it is really, really simple. It's, their quote is, we only have fear, but we have nothing to fear but fear itself. I do believe that was, oh my gosh, I'm blanking. I have it written down in my notes. I'll get to it. I'll come back and quote the right person. Roosevelt, I believe it was one of our presidents. So in other words, becoming afraid when we are having feelings which attribute to anxiety or fear is all normal. So not only do we try to avoid fearful situations, we try to avoid the fear of fear. So let's talk about fear and the science of fear. According to psychologist Zachary Sikora, fear is our survival response. So some of us are roller coaster fans or horror movie buffs. We thrive on it while other people avoid it. Have you ever wondered why? I have, because I'm not one for roller coasters. I don't like when my stomach drops, from up top all the way down below, and I feel like I've lost it. Because fear is physical. Fear is experienced in our mind, but it triggers a strong physical reaction in our body. So as soon as we recognize fear, the amygdala, which is a small organ inside our brain that controls our emotions, it goes to work. So it alerts our nervous system, which sets our body's fear response into motion. Then the stress hormones like cortisol and adrenaline are released, and your oh my goodness. I'm tripping all over myself. I'm just going to breathe. This is requiring a lot of adrenaline. A lot of cortisol and adrenaline has been released into my body because, of course, I had fear about talking about fear. So you start breathing faster or even speaking faster. So because actually blood is flowing away from your heart and into your limbs, making it easier for the flight, fright, or freeze response. So fear can also make you foggy. So as some parts of your brain are now revving up, others are shutting down. Because if you've got to start fighting, you don't want to actually think about what could happen if you actually hit someone, the pain that you would feel. It's completely shutting that down. So as a result, you might end up screaming or throwing up your hands. Like if you're in a haunted house, being that it's October, and I'm assuming that a lot of those who like to be frightened, that response, that startle response, are going to the haunted houses. And so if you get approached by an actor in one of the haunted houses, you may not be able to rationalize that this is not a real fear, that you're actually safe. So that's one of the reasons why we enjoy going and getting frightened, because fear can become a pleasure. You know, people love roller coasters and haunted houses, and we enjoy getting caught up in the fearful, stressful moments, that thrill, the thrill of the flight and the fright and the freezing moment, which makes us feel alive. Because during a staged fear experience, our brain will produce more of a chemical response, which is dopamine, which elicits pleasure. So that's why we are always looking for pleasure, really. Isn't that what our brains are looking for? So they're avoiding fear. We're avoiding things that will not cause us pleasure. Although it's kind of interesting that this fear does cause pleasure. What does that say? So fear is not a phobia. So for those of us who watch Jaws, you know, after you may feel uneasy about swimming or going in the ocean right after seeing the movie, because we're now afraid of sharks. So you might find yourself a little traumatized or unable to function at the mere thought of, fear becomes a phobia when it's normal to question before you put your toe in the water after watching the movie Jaws that you may get attacked by a shark. Although if it prevents you from actually going to the beach even in the first place, then that is a phobia. So the difference between a fear and a phobia is that fears are common reactions to events or objects. But a fear becomes a phobia when it interferes with our ability to function and maintain a consistent quality of life. So if you start taking extreme measures, extreme being the key word, to avoid water or spiders or people, you may have a phobia. I'm not really going to talk a lot about phobias because we all have them, and that may be another show. I'm just going to keep talking about fear and fear itself. So fear is a natural and biological condition that we all experience as human beings. And like I said before, it's really important because it keeps us safe. So because it is a complex human emotion, it can be positive and healthy, and it can also have negative consequences. This is the catch-22, the polarity of fear. Because like I said before, some fears are actually good and they are here to keep us alive and keep us safe. And then there are those that keep us from living our life to its fullest, having that happiness that we are all looking for in our lives. So if a fear is affecting your life negatively and in inconvenient ways, it's speak to you, to yourself, because only you can determine what you need to help you move from this fear that's actually holding you back. Which is why I believe feel the fear and do it anyway. If it's not going to physically hurt you, feel the fear and do it anyway. That's it. It is that simple for me to say. And then I know how I hear you. You have all these thoughts about reasons why no. Why no? Why no? And I'm going to say yes and. So we all have negative thoughts that block us from achieving our goals and maximizing our potential. So what we do call fear is a necessary element that trains us for pushing ahead and then doing great things. So by asking ourselves some questions about the obstacles you struggle with to push against, you can draw solutions for yourself in the actual questioning of the fear. Because we can also we can also become so uncomfortable with our feelings of anxiety and then define them as abnormal or natural, or unnatural. So as feelings others must also be experiencing given the same situation. So we judge. So here are some questions for you to think about. What would you do if you had absolutely no fear? What would your life be like? Would you still be motivated to achieve? This is where fear can actually be a good thing. This is where you can use fear to push you forward. What would happen if you took action towards one of your goals that scared you the most? Would you still feel like a failure, even if you came up to the fear and went beyond it? Even if what you tried did fail, would you still feel like a failure because you still tackled the fear? Another question. What are you avoiding because you have a fear of it? Are you not going out and making friends? Are you afraid that people are going to be judging you because you are so afraid of making a new friend? Are you afraid that if you take an action, that it might not happen the way you think it should? And again, there we go on the shouldings. What will you do if you do take the action and then it doesn't work as well? I know I asked that. I'm asking it again because that's part of the fear that holds us back, because we're so afraid that we may fail and be judged. Last question. How much is your fear costing you in terms of your health and your happiness? You are listening to the Feel to Heal show with me, Sharyn Nichols, and today's topic is all about fear, false evidence appearing real. And when we come back from break, we're going to talk more about fear. See you back in a minute.
At different times on our life journey, we can feel stuck and struggle with seeing our way through. What if the answer to the struggle is just to go deeper than the surface? By tuning in to Feel to Heal with Sharyn Nichols show, with licensed marriage and family therapist and life guide Sharyn Nichols, you'll receive insight and guidance on exploring your feelings in order to heal yourself. Are you ready to create a more satisfying, peaceful, and successful life? Listen for the Feel to Heal with Sharyn Nichols show every Monday at 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, 5 p.m. Central, 4 p.m. Mountain, and 3 p.m. Pacific on InspiredChoicesNetwork.com.
How wonderful would it be to carry your favorite Inspired Choices Network host with you throughout your day? Well, now you can. Inspired Choices Network now has its very own mobile app. Our free app offers live streaming shows, along with thousands of podcasts and TV episodes. Our shows cover a wide variety of topics. Whether you're waking up with us, carrying us through the day, and taking us to bed with you, we're always here for you to enjoy. We're easy to find. Just search for Inspired Choices Network in the Apple App Store or Google Play Store.
This is Feel to Heal with Sharyn Nichols show, with licensed marriage and family therapist and life guide Sharyn Nichols. To participate in the program, join our live studio audience in our chat room at InspiredChoicesNetwork.com. You can also ask questions or comments by email by sending to Sharyn Nichols at feeltoheal.com. Now, back to the program.
Welcome back. You're listening to the Feel to Heal show with me, Sharyn Nichols, and we're talking about fear and feeling the fear and doing it anyway. This is something that I ask my clients, and actually I even ask my friends on a regular basis whenever they come up against a fear for themselves, is what advice would you give someone? What would you tell me who said that they were having too much difficulty in pursuing their dreams because they were so afraid that they would fail, or that they wouldn't be able to actualize, or once they did it, then what next? I mean, we get so stuck and so caught up in the fear that, we'll just stick with one, because as soon as we tackle that one, then another one appears, and then another one appears. And it's just so much easier sometimes to do nothing. Or is it? I actually don't think it is. That's why I said yes to doing this show. It was all about me overcoming my fear. And so if I can overcome a fear, anyone can, because I'm just like you. We are all the same. We all have similar thoughts and feelings. And when we allow ourselves to be crippled by our thoughts, and remember, they're just thoughts, we don't have to act on them, then we continue to prevent ourselves from actually living our most satisfying, peaceful, and successful lives. So that being said, let's talk about some of the 10 biggest roadblocks that can keep us from achieving fear. I mean, keep us in fear and keep us from achieving our success, satisfaction, and peaceful lives. First one, the fear of inadequacy. I don't know about you, but I'm certainly always afraid before I even start this show that I don't know what I'm talking about, and that I'm really inadequate, and that I really don't, I shouldn't be doing this. Who am I? Yes, of course, I have 25 years experience, and I am licensed, and I was licensed on the first try, which again, only 26% of the people who took their exams when I did passed. And I said for years, for like the first 5 to 10 years that I had my license, I kept waiting for the Behavioral Board of Sciences to call me and tell me that they made a mistake. So for me, it's always been about continuing to to put one foot in front of the other and allow myself to have my feelings and my experiences and now share them because, like I said, I don't see myself as any different than anybody else. And the adrenaline rush that I had before today's show, because of course everything happens exactly as it's supposed to, which you will hear me say going forward, probably every show, is that I was so afraid that I am inadequate and that I don't know what the hell I'm talking about. Although, of course, it was just a thought. And I did not allow it truly to sustain and stick with me because then there's no way that I would actually even be able to be talking right now. I'm just going to take a breath on that one. The fear of uncertainty, the fear of the unknown. Boy, oh boy, I'm speaking for you now. Have we allowed it to take over and prevent us from doing things, from saying yes to things, from even saying no to things? We've said yes to so many things that weren't right, and we've said no out of fear of being judged that probably we should have said yes to, even though we said no to. And I think you understand, at least I hope you understand, the yes and the no. So anticipating what will happen in the future can also be a strength, because the uncertainty, those little butterflies can actually propel us forward. Again, the dichotomy of fear, the positiveness and then the negativeness of it. So I'm going to keep saying that I welcome it and I embrace it because it is also what makes me feel alive. And I think that's why some of us do enjoy being frightened when we go to those haunted houses. Again, it's October. It's almost Halloween. I love the month of October. It's also my birthday month. Anyway, moving on. And I don't have fear of that, which is great. I don't fear getting older as some do, although I'm sure that's one of the fears that we all can have. So another fear of failure. You know, if you don't do, you can't be. Fear of failure. How many times have we allowed the fear of failing to prevent us? How many times have we allowed it to prevent us from actually doing what we know in our soul is the right thing for us? We've allowed the fear to hold us back from living our purpose because the fear of failure and then the judgment that goes with that from others and from ourselves. God, wouldn't it be great if we really could predict the future and we would know everything that was going to happen? Or actually, would it really be boring? Something else to think about. So let's talk about the fear of rejection. Another common fear that we all humans experience, because if we devote every ounce of passion in our lives, then we are living our life in a way it is meant to be, right? No, because rejection will come. Even if you're so passionate about something, you put it to work and you're using it. It's really about being satisfied with the movement, satisfied with the fact that you put yourself out there to even be rejected in the first place, because you also may not be rejected. Except the fear of being rejected, again, holds us back from living our purpose and being our true selves. I know for myself, again, wow, I know I keep sighing. This is a lot. This is really, really heavy. Fear is just can be so debilitating. And I know I have used it so many times to hold me back from sharing my thoughts and feelings with a loved one because I was so afraid of being rejected. I mean, how many times have you not told someone that you loved them, told someone that you liked them, or even told someone that you were angry with them or that they hurt your feelings because you were afraid that they were going to reject you and tell you that you were wrong for having them? I'm going to take a breath on that one. Another fear, that's a big one these days, especially because of social media, is a fear of missing out, FOMO. Oh boy, I've taken breaks from social media because I see all of my friends on Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, Twitter, all of them going on with their lives and how incredible they are and talking about their successes and then talking about parties, and it can really take its toll. You know, these thoughts that you can now having on all the things that you're missing out on. And so is it really possible though to be in all places at all times? No. So it's really truly about just being present and being in the moment. Whew. It's also not comparing yourself to someone else and all the things that are going on in their lives. Because if you actually looked, you being in the present moment, you could come up with so many things for you to be congratulated upon, rejoicing about, showing the world that you've got it together. Yay, you. So it's not about using what other people are doing as a distraction for you not to be feeling your fear and doing it anyway, because we also actually never really truly do know what goes on behind closed doors. Every so often as a therapist, I get a glimpse because people do share things. Although it's about putting the focus on yourself and looking for the evidence of where you are overcoming the things that are holding you back. And then choosing to share it or not, because it actually really doesn't matter, because it's truly about you. Here's another doozy, the fear of change. Boy, oh boy. How many times have we allowed that, the fear of doing something different, the fear of change, the fear of something looking a different way than we thought it would? So actually moving from apartments, moving places, moving jobs, because, oh, this is what we know. So we're comfortable with this. We are so comfortable right here, right now, that the fear of doing something different because it could look so different and that it can actually hurt us or be detrimental or make us even more depressed. How many times have we allowed that to hold us back and not move forward with our lives? I am so grateful for those times where I've moved out of my comfort zone and allowed myself to say, I'm going to feel the fear and do it anyway. So you are listening to the Feel to Heal show with Sharyn Nichols. And when we come back from break, we're going to continue to talk about fear. I look forward to seeing you back in a minute.
At different times on our life journey, we can feel stuck and struggle with seeing our way through. What if the answer to the struggle is just to go deeper than the surface? By tuning in to Feel to Heal with Sharyn Nichols show, with licensed marriage and family therapist and life guide Sharyn Nichols, you'll receive insight and guidance on exploring your feelings in order to heal yourself. Are you ready to create a more satisfying, peaceful, and successful life? Listen for the Feel to Heal with Sharyn Nichols show every Monday at 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, 5 p.m. Central, 4 p.m. Mountain, and 3 p.m. Pacific on InspiredChoicesNetwork.com. This is Feel to Heal with Sharyn Nichols show with licensed marriage and family therapist and life guide Sharyn Nichols. To participate in the program, join our live studio audience in our chat room at InspiredChoicesNetwork.com. You can also ask questions or comments by email by sending to Sharyn Nichols at feeltoheal.com. Now, back to the program.
Welcome back. You are listening to the Feel to Heal show with Sharyn Nichols, and today's subject is on fear. False evidence appearing real. We were talking before break about fear of change is so common that we've all used it and allowed it, because yes, I'm now giving fear an entity outside of myself. We've all used it and allowed it to be the thing that we hang our hat on to not continue moving forward with our lives. So it's truly about finding your inner peace and passion, even when you are feeling the fear and doing it anyway, and allowing yourself again to have these feelings. Oh gosh, I can't talk enough about them. Obviously, this is what fuels me. Feelings fuel me. I am all about them. So the anxiety that we produce when we're worrying about change, again, can be very, very crippling. Although, if you notice, life is always happening, and therefore it is always changing from one moment to the next. One moment to the next. I'm just going to breathe on that. So another fear that we have is the fear of losing control. Whew. I've been saying for a long time that I actually have 100% over control. How is that, you say? I have 100% over no control. So I allow the world, my life, the universe to just unfold as it is. I prepare for the worst and hope for the best. And therefore, wherever it falls in between, that's where I have 100% control. Because even if I prepare for the worst, there's probably something that I completely forgot about. And I used to beat myself up for not having every single duck in a row before I took a step forward. Although allowing myself to take a breath and just be okay with not being in control of every moment is great. So when you get behind the wheel of the car as the driver, you have, I'm going to say, 100% control over your actual vehicle. Although as soon as you pull out into traffic, you have no control over what the person next to you is going to do, what the person in front of you is going to do. That's why you must always be present and paying attention to what is going on around you, so then you can be in control of your own vehicle. And as always, there are always some things that we just have no control over, which is why I have 100% control over no control. Another fear, the fear of being judged. This is a doozy for most of us because this also can be crippling, because feeling vulnerable or putting yourself in front of the possibility of an attack from someone else can also prevent us from living our purpose. It is so important to be vulnerable. I know I've said before, being vulnerable is the new sexy. So instead of being afraid of what others are thinking about you, embrace yourself and your story, because that's what makes you unique. And then share what makes you unique, because others are also having their own story that makes them unique. And there will always be a bridge and commonality. Another fear is fear of something bad happening. Yes, shit happens. Horrible things happen. Life and death happens all the time. So if you keep worrying about something that something horrible is going to happen, remember, where you place your attention is what gets amplified. So start looking for the evidence where everything is actually happening for good rather than bad. Fear of getting hurt is the last one I'm going to talk about in terms of the fears. Of course, bodily harm, losing control. I mean, these are all intertwined. And the solution is to allow your thoughts, allow them to be, and not place your attention on them. So anxiety and fear are perfectly normal and natural feelings to have, because we all get anxious and afraid of all different things. That's why I asked questions before in terms of what are your fears, because they're yours. And I have a feeling that most of us have had some feeling or fear around them that look similar. So when we fear the fear and we convince ourselves that our fears are unwarranted, we have a pretty good chance of increasing the very anxiety that is causing us the fear. And then it only makes us even more anxious to stop. Yoda said, "Fear is the path to the dark side. Fear leads to anger. Anger leads to hate. And then hate leads to suffering." Please stop your suffering. Please let's end hate. Because the only thing we have to fear is fear itself. And Joseph Campbell said, "The cave of fear you enter, the cave you fear to enter holds the treasure that you seek. Stop holding yourself back. Please enter the cave, because that's where the treasure is." So since feeling your feelings are what I am all about, feel the fear and do it anyway. Seriously, people, it's all we got. This life, do it. So thank you so much for today. And please join me next week when we're going to be talking about love. Saying I love you can be scary. Why is that? Are you someone who sees love as one of the bad 4-letter words? So tune in next week, because we're going to discuss love, the good, the bad, the ugly, all about love. From my heart to yours. See you next week. Take care.
Thank you for choosing to listen to the Feel to Heal with Sharyn Nichols show. Sharyn Nichols will return next Monday at 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, 5 p.m. Central, 4 p.m. Mountain, and 3 p.m. Pacific on InspiredChoicesNetwork.com. We hope you'll join us. Until then, give up the struggle, feel all you need to feel, and make this week your best one yet.